there, retro gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Game Overcast, the show that goes behind the scenes of your favorite local retro video game store, Game Over Videogames. My name is David KAELIN. I am the CEO, and I am in charge of this wonderful show. Hey, that rhymes. Oh. This week, what do we have to talk about this week? Halloween wrap-up. I hope everybody had a good Halloween and was safe and, wore their mask and got lots of candy and, partied safely, got home okay and made it to work yesterday okay and all that. And we're going to talk a little bit in the feedback section at the end of the show about some of the questions we got about Halloween or scary themed video games. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Not a whole lot of comments on that one, though. I thought that'd be a huge comment generator, but, what do I know at all this? But anyway, we'll talk about that and more later. Also, can you believe it's November? November. Shocking. Like the year is almost over. We just had Halloween. That means Thanksgiving is like right around the corner, then Black Friday, then Christmas, then New Year's, and then it's 2022. Crazy. But good, because we're all ready to be done. 2020 and 2021 have just been a big blur that we would just love to forget. Just wad it up, throw it away, start over again in 2022. Today on the show, we've got retro gaming news. We've got some upcoming events. Part 2 of the feature segment from last week with my interview with Tien Phan, my favorite Game Over employee. He's an amazing guy, and so we do the final part of the interview with him, and then we'll end the show with fan feedback, questions, and all that good stuff. So let's jump right into level 1 with current events. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back, and this is Level 1, current events section of the show. So what's been going on in the world of retro gaming lately? Last week, another high-priced retro video game sold, a original Mario Brothers 2 NES game, sealed, highly rated, what is that, WATA scored? Like a 9.8, so like a near mint. Perfect sealed copy of Mario 2 for NES sold for $88,000. That's a lot of money. But it's weird because, recently we've also talked about the Mario 64 game sold for $1.5 million, a Zelda NES game sold for $870,000, a Super Mario Brothers 1 video game for NES sold for $660,000. So I guess when you think of those three were crazy high. But compared to that, the Mario 2 is not that bad, $88,000. So anyway, interesting. I know people are really conflicted about that whole scenario and the WATA, scoring and how they're kind of in on it on some of the pricing and stuff like that. And I don't want to get into the whole controversy of it. But any sealed mainstream, AAA title, especially Nintendo stuff, that's that old and that iconic and that's still sealed, like somebody bought it back then and never opened it in 30 plus years. I mean, it is crazy that it survived that long and in that good a condition unopened. So is it worth $88,000? I don't know, maybe. But I think the other ones were definitely not worth $800,000 or $1 million or more. So I guess compared to that, $88,000 seems like a deal, but I don't know. I wouldn't spend $88,000 on a game, but if you would, you go. You be you. And you enjoy that game looking at it because don't you dare open that plastic. Anyway, so that happened last week. Also something really interesting in the world of modern gaming, but also that's pulling in some of the retro ties also, is that Sega and Microsoft are talking now. And, they've had some partnerships and they've done some things in the past, like on a smaller scale. And obviously Sega doesn't make consoles anymore, and they make games that are multi-platform that have come out on Xbox and on, PlayStation and on Nintendo. But it sounds like Sega and Microsoft are actually now working together for Microsoft's cloud gaming service. What Microsoft is doing with, they have the Xbox systems, of course, but they're pushing this Game Pass where it's, you don't buy games anymore individually. You don't really need to even buy a machine or a console anymore. You just can play it on your computer, you can play it on your phone, or play it on a console. So it's like an all digital, streaming, pay by the month kind of gaming service. And so you can argue whether that's good or bad. I don't like it because obviously as a retro gamer, I like to collect games and have actual physical things that I can then resell. And with anything that's digital or like a monthly service like that, it's just like Netflix. You don't really own any movies with Netflix. You don't really own any games with Game Pass. If they stop the service, they stop the games that you like from being on that service, or you stop paying the fees, it's all gone. It all disappears, like vanishes. But that's what digital is. So I prefer physical to digital anytime. But yeah, really interesting that they're working together on this. And so does that mean that they're going to actually buy out Sega? They've done it before. We didn't think they would maybe, acquire such large companies, but then they bought Bethesda. They've got, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls, Doom, everything Bethesda makes now is a Microsoft game, and they've done that in the past with smaller studios. But Sega'd be a big one, and if they can do that where it's an actual acquisition of Sega in its entirety, so everything else Sega makes, everything Sonic related, everything is exclusive to Xbox, that'd be crazy. But it'd be good for them because they always do the worst in Japan, and getting a one of the old school, Japanese gaming giants like Sega to be basically a subsidiary of them would be great for them. So it's smart. It makes total, business sense. But I don't know how that would affect gamers, because if they start making exclusives on all those games, that's going to suck for all of us. But anyway, that was big news in the past week. And then also, if that does happen and it becomes a big thing, what does that mean for Nintendo and for PlayStation if they won't get any more of the Sega titles? That's a big, chunk of quality, normally AAA type titles that Sega makes that, would no longer be available on those systems. So that could be scary for them. But good for Microsoft. So we'll see what happens there. Also, another national news that this is not specifically video gaming related yet, but something that I thought I would mention. Facebook, I think I mentioned on the show a few weeks ago that Facebook is changing their name. They've taken a lot of heat lately, and so they did. They actually changed their name. They're called Meta now, Meta. So it's like the metaverse, or the multiverse in Marvel. It's an entire universe. So it's supposed to go above and beyond social media to encompass everything, as if Facebook's not involved enough in everything. But anyway, what they're talking about is an entire world where you go into their platform, and it's not just social media, it's not just email, but you actually kind of live your life in there, which of course got me thinking, because we've had at CGF for several years, and I know Ernie Klein now from that. But if you've ever read the book Ready Player One or watched the movie, and one of the big concepts in that book is there's an all-powerful online, system set up, a network called the Oasis. And people go there not just to communicate and email and social media and stuff like that, but they go to school there. They go to work there. They socialize and get together with other people and hang out there. And basically, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you're wearing a headset and you're immersed in that world. Scary stuff. I mean, it can be fun and liberating in some activities, but when you do that all day, every day, that's a pretty sad, state of society, I guess. But it sounds like that's where Facebook is going, which is really weird and kind of scary. That they want to create a world that you log into and you just stay there and you never leave. So, yeah, that's scary as hell. So I'm going to move on from that. But we'll see if maybe later on in the show, another year or two down the road, we'll talk about that and say, remember when we announced that, and it was such a small little thing. Everybody kind of laughed at the name, like, ha ha ha, what is this? And then at that point, a few years from now, people will be living their lives in the Facebook multiverse of Meta. Crazy. Okay, I don't want to think about that anymore. So, retro gaming specific news. Apparently, GameStop is not selling retro anymore. I know they've kind of we love retro, we hate retro, we love retro, hate retro, but now apparently retro's on the outs again with GameStop. So for what it's worth, they've marked all their stuff down, and when you go to their website and look up anything retro related, it's either sold out or it says check local stores, which means it's gone. So sorry if you missed the great deals on those games, but interesting because them going completely out of that now, I don't know what that means. Is the company doing worse, or are they just going faster in the direction of the all digital future that they wanted to go before COVID hit and everything? So anyway, interesting. And another thing I thought was weird looking at their website was I don't go to GameStop's website very often, as you might imagine, but I do check it out. It's a competitor. I like to keep updated. But half the things on the front page of their website are iPhone related. So that's kind of interesting. And at the very bottom, I thought this was the funniest thing on their website. At the bottom, they have all this cool like GameStop merch. And they have like people with like GameStop T-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that, and they're all really cool. And I was just thinking, man, like I can't imagine them selling a lot of merch. It's just not a brand that people get really hyped up about anymore. But I don't know. I guess they are, or maybe they just have some of those in the warehouse they're trying to unload. I don't know, but yeah. So half their front page of their website is iPhones and GameStop merch. So interesting. Anyway, that's it for overall news. So now let's go to level 2 and talk about company events and sales and things more related directly to Game Over Video Games. We'll be back in a minute with level 2. This is what's going on at your local Game Over Video Games stores. Tournaments, free tournaments every month. We talked about that every week. But they're coming up. The November tournaments are Saturday, November 13th. So that's soon. And that's going to be at the 4 main event stores, not counting the one in Washington, but in Texas, it's going to be the San Antonio store in Selma, the South Austin store in South Lamar, the Arlington location in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and the Houston location on 1960. So those stores will be doing tournaments on Saturday, the 13th of November. So definitely check that out. Free to enter, prizes if you win, and lots of fun. Meet the local community and support your local Game Over stores in that area. The next events we're doing in December, and then we'll be those locations and also add back in now the Bellevue, Washington location. They'll be back doing tournaments every month too. So that'll be December 11th. So that'll be the last one of the year. So definitely have those 2 dates on your calendars, November 13th and December 11th, so you can check out some free tournaments at our stores. Also, sales-wise, we're coming up on Veterans Day. Now that's November. So our next sale from Friday, November 5th through Thursday, November 11th is our Veterans Day sale, military appreciation. We used to do it on a day, but we're doing it on the whole week now. Oh, sorry, microphone. But for an entire week, we're doing 20% off anything in the stores. All you have to do is show a valid military ID. So 20% off. Let's see. Then also on Friday, we're doing some like mini Black Friday sales throughout the month of November. So there's a 1-day sales on Fridays. So this Friday on November 5th, which is probably maybe the day you're watching this show, it's 30% off Xbox games, original Xbox games. That's in our retail stores only, though. So no online discount there. You got to come into the local stores. And then for people that are watching this episode a little past that time, the next sale coming up is November 12th through November 18th. And that is our handheld game sale. So we'll be doing 20% off all handheld games in our retail stores and also online. That one's available if you use the code RETRO20. So RETRO20 as a coupon code. And you can save 20% off all handheld games on our website or in our retail stores. That's the 12th through 18th of November. Plus, all through the month of November, we're still doing the trade-in specials on Nintendo 64 consoles and GameCube consoles. So if you have any of those are still in really high demand right now in the retro world that we live in. And so, yeah, any of those you can bring into our stores would be great. Good condition, working models, matching controllers, plus any games and accessories and other stuff you have. Bring them in. We're paying more than usual for those. So you can actually, if you have some extras, it's a good time to unload them right now. Let's see, in the world of Classic Game Fest, we're also, well on our way in the planning of that one. The next event is in the summer of 22. It's late July, as always, July 23rd and 24th next summer. So have that on your calendars. The tickets will be going on sale soon. They do go on sale in November. We don't have the date picked out yet, but we are, working now to get that set up soon. Also, we usually do some kind of Black Friday, Thanksgiving sale on those. So just as a little hint to maybe wait till then to get your CGF tickets, but that's normally the lowest price you can get them is normally that time of year. So that's coming up. Vendor booths for CGF are on sale now. We're also taking suggestions for any guests that you would like to see. Vendor suggestions, any kind of suggestion for Classic Game Fest. You can email it to info@classicgamefest.com. And just send that in there. Information on vendor booths is available on the website, classicgamefest.com. And so, yeah, definitely check that out. Product update in our stores. We sell a lot of cool retro-related products in our stores. A lot of different brands and companies. But one of the ones we sell the most of is probably Hyperkin. We love the Hyperkin products. And I have an update on one of their products that we've gotten in recently. They have a lot of the consoles now, I guess, have HDMI adapter cables. And that way you can use an old console on a modern TV and get, better resolution, not as much flickering on the screen and everything. It's just a better way to play your games on a modern TV. But there's a Hyperkin cable they make that's for the PlayStation 2. And they actually use it on, a PlayStation 1 also, if you have that. But it's made for PS2. And if you use that cable, the HDMI cable, we've been having some issues lately with it just giving a green screen, like nothing, comes up. It's just a blank green screen. And we finally figured out what that is. So I just want to let you know, if any of you guys either work at a Game Over store, work at any other game store, or just in the general, gaming, retro gaming market, have this happen to your HDMI cables. I wanted to give you this little tip that apparently you can go into PlayStation 2s on the menus and set it to RGB mode. And if you do that, then the cables work fine. So it's just, you have to sometimes, I guess, tell the older console through the menus that you're going to use a high resolution output cable. And then when you do that, then the cables work. But if you don't do that and it's set to the low res, like standard AV composite cables, then the HD sometimes doesn't work and it has those glitches. So quick tip and a way to fix that problem or avoid that problem is set it to RGB mode on PS2s, and then the PS2 cables from Hyperkin or anybody else that makes them will work great. So a little public service there. Web highlights. From time to time, I want to let you know some cool stuff that's on our website. So those of you that are not fortunate enough to live next to or near a cool local Game Over video game store, you can always shop with us online at gameovervideogames.com. We ship anywhere in the country for just $10. That's any amount of stuff. So, whether it's just a few games or whether you order, several $100s worth of stuff, it's just a flat $10 shipping. We cover anything else, and we'll get it to you. And one of the hot new things in our, stores and website over the past few years is vinyl records. We do a lot of soundtracks for games, and nowadays vinyl's getting real popular. So we get some vinyl video game soundtracks from time to time. And we had two new ones that I wanted to show you today. So we've got Zelda and Chill 2. They had another one, obviously. This one's called 2. But some really cool Zelda music, just kind of reworked in a cool, mellow way. And then we've also got Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. This is one of the Mondo soundtracks. They always do really high quality stuff, and the cases and everything are always real nice on these too. But so cool. Music from Metal Gear. Both of these are on our website now and in some of our retail stores now. If they're not in your local Game Over Video Games store yet, they will be soon. They're in transit to some of them still. But yeah, if you're interested in those or any other video game soundtracks that are on vinyl, we do carry those in our stores. The selection is going to vary from location to location. And you can also shop our website, gameovervideogames.com, for those. And if you go to the website, it's under the Gamer Gear section at the top, and then you click on soundtracks and then click on vinyl. Otherwise, in the search bar, you can just type in vinyl records, and you can pull them up that way too. That's who we have. We've got, I think, about 10 or 12 of them, at a time, normally on the website, and it cycles in. Normally they're low print quantities, so we only get a certain amount, and then they sell out, and then we'll get more in. Sometimes they go to us like a second printing or a third printing, and we get more. But a lot of times it's just whatever we get the first time, the first batch, that's it. And so once they're gone, they're gone. So the selection is going to vary from time to time, but some cool vinyl records on our website, so you can check that out. And that is it for company news, Game Over stuff. So now we're going to go back to level 3. That's the feature segment. And this week, like I mentioned earlier, we're actually just going to play the second part of the interview from last week with my interview with Tien Phan, the Game Over District Manager. So we will go to that now and find out about his tattoos and lots of other interesting information about what makes him such an awesome guy. So let's go to level 3. So one other thing I wanted to just totally change gears on,
sure,
with having you on the show is let's talk about tattoos.
Okay.
So do you mind showing off your big gun and your tattoos?
Oh man. Okay. Well, for all the ink lovers out there, it is my video game sleeve is complete now. So the big piece here is a Gyarados because I will have no objections. There can be no argument. Gyarados is the best Pokemon. If you disagree, you're just wrong. I mean, you just are. So that just needs to be put out there. Gyarados is the best Pokemon, okay. So I've got a Gyarados kind of...
Please comment on the stream with your favorite Pokemon.
What he means is please agree on the
stream.
Please tell
Tien how wrong he is.
That Gyarados is the best Pokemon. So I've got my Gyarados coiling up here. This is my Street Fighter tattoo. I've got Evo, Ryu, and Oni. Street Fighter is my favorite fighting game franchise. Then right here, this is my interpretation of the Shadow of Colossus mark. That was a game that just blew my mind. I was a little late to that party. I heard all the excitement about it, but never got to try it. And when I did, I just fell in love with it. It's one of the most surprising and really just immersive video gaming experience I've ever had. So, Shadow of Colossus, and then my little Portal tribute tattoo right there. Yeah, this is my video game sleeve. Nerd through and through.
Yeah.
We definitely aren't just, here making the bucks.
It's not just the job.
No, we love video games.
We don't require tattoos.
I mean, if you're willing to fund them, I will be entirely covered. But it is also a very addictive and expensive hobby, yes. So beware.
Yeah. I'm sure Game Over's actually paid for a lot of that, probably.
Yeah, I would not disagree. I've got a little bit more space here and got to figure out what to do with this. And this is my anime sleeve, so we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, you can see the value of those hobbies. How he greatly values gaming and anime is like.
It's just a work in progress. It's just a work in progress. But no, I love it. I love expression of self, and it is really.
And we support that at Game Over. Like, I mean, I assume in this day and age, I don't know because I've been doing this for 16 years, right. But like, I know in the old days when you'd look for a job, if you had tattoos, I mean, it'd be like you wear long sleeves to the interview and you try and cover it up, but right. I don't think, I mean, I know we're not like that at Game Over, but like, is it still like that in the world? Like, do you feel people look at you when you go places and you have tattoos like in a negative way?
No, not at all. And it's funny because it's actually exactly the opposite. I've talked to some friends about this, but people just love the fact that people have tattoos. Like, I'll be walking by someone and someone's like, "Oh, I like your tattoos," and they're like 6-7 feet away. They have no idea what the tattoos are. they have not like looked and seen what they are, but they just like the fact that I have them.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it's the appreciation of self-expression, and it's the same with like colored hair and piercings. It's like, if that's, what you want to do to really show that that's, kind of your creative side, what you love about yourself, by all means, that does not impact your work ethic at all.
Yeah.
That does not impact how you treat other people at all. Anyone that still thinks that way, I would strongly suggest to just kind of reevaluate, like, what makes a good person, and like, that's not a thing, like how you say hi to someone, how you treat someone. That's what makes a good person a good person. So no, I haven't felt, I guess, any sort of discrimination or anything because of really kind of the opposite now, and I think that most places are like that. Most employers, I hope. I'm sure I'm wrong.
It's mostly people like my age or older, I guess, that would be like, that's a lot of tattoos.
Right. But as long as it's just that, as long as it's just like, kind of a curiosity and, kind of an interest, but not a judgment right then and there. Like that's just a very... some people are just kind of stuck in their ways.
We've come a really long way.
Truly.
I mean, in terms of self-expression, like you said, and whether it's sexuality, gender, how you look, piercings, tattoos, hairstyle, color, race, everything. Like it's you see a lot in the news about how people still judge people, you know, on how they look, and not just tattoos, but in like the old school way,
right?
Like just race that was like, you know, we've moved so far, you think, you know, past that, but still there are people that judge on looks, and But yeah, I'm all for, you know, self-expression. I know obviously at Game Over we have a lot of people with tattoos and crazy hair, and you know, and it's, you know, and you know, other you know, distinct issues or personalities and lifestyles, and that's cool. You know, that's the norm now.
Yeah, truly. No, diversity we feel is very important, and so this is a shout out to anyone that's, you know, interested in working for us ever. Don't think that, you know, your gender, your ethnicity, your aesthetic has any sort of bearing. As long as you're, you know, got some retail sales experience and have a good personality, like, you should apply 100%. We would love to diversify. Like, gaming is better, but has too long been like a male dominated hobby. And it's definitely grown a lot now, but still, like, you know, most of our employees are male, and we do have female employees, but it's not amazing
the lack of applicants.
Yes, and that's,
you know, we put a job up, it's like 80% male will apply.
Yeah, and I have talked to my female employees, and they will literally say, like, I'm there with a male coworker, and people will walk right past me and talk to the guy because, you know, they think I don't know about video games, or, you know, I'm more casual or what have you, and that's fine, you know. Like, it's rare to find someone that doesn't play some sort of video game in this day and age. Like, it's so accessible now. So everyone plays something, you know, classic games, current games, like rhythm games, you know, Guitar Hero, Wii Fit, all the virtual reality stuff, you know, mobile games like on your phone. Like, everyone plays something, and so like, you know, the love for gaming knows no bounds, knows no age, restrictions,
no race, no color, no sex,
and so yeah, no, I that's also definitely a thing that I appreciate, you know, about you and the company, is like, this shouldn't matter. Like, this should be just more awesome.
It does, and you know,
so everyone go out and, you know, get video game tattoos and come apply. It'll be great.
All right. Well, let's, you know, you mentioned Resident Evil earlier. So since it is Halloween weekend, and since I don't have any other decorations, you know, or really anything, we're not wearing costumes or I mean, I did zero prep for it being Halloween weekend. But let's talk about Halloween games or scary games. Like, is Resident Evil the scariest game you think you've ever played?
Ooh, not scariest for sure. It is one of my favorite franchises. The very first Resident Evil game terrified me, because that was my first kind of like realistic game. And of course, back in the 90s, PS1 graphics were so realistic. Every polygon was just like so lifelike, but
almost just like an actual person.
Yes, but the atmosphere of the original Resident Evil game, like, it just terrified me. I would literally just be like hunched over, like super tense, like, and with the tank controls, it was like really hard to like manage your character, and it was
turn around, see what's behind you.
Yeah, like, you would literally have to like hold the left button so your character would be able to move. And yeah, it was a control scheme that I had to get used to. But man, did that game just really show that, you know, video games can be more than just for funsies for me.
Yeah,
that was the one that actually got me scared, you know. But then the series started to become more actiony and less atmospheric, and I feel like they definitely recently with Resident Evil 7 kind of went back to the roots, and that was fantastic. But as far as games that scared me, oh man, that's probably a cross between like some of the Silent Hill games or Fatal Frame games. They are all about just
they've gotten very dark.
Yes, yes, all about messing with your head. And
do you play them in the dark?
I do.
Yeah,
and it's funny.
Like, you set the mood for the scary game.
I do,
and then
but I can't do horror movies. Like that's the thing. Like for some reason, like I can't do horror movies. Yeah, I like psychological thrillers, but like slashers I can't do. You know, I never got into them, and for some reason, like when I'm in control with video games, like it just makes me feel better knowing that I've got like a 12 gauge shotty with like 36 shells, yeah, and I'm ready to just unload into something that scares me versus like watching someone like truly walk into certain death in a movie.
Just the lambs walking into slaughter.
Exactly.
You can't do anything about it.
So,
don't go into that room. Don't.
Like,
what are you doing?
Horror movies, I'm just like. The video games is just like, all right, I'm terrified, but I got my healing items and I got I got all my weapons, so let's go. So yeah, I love horror games. I love survival horror, and I recently played one that was surprisingly scary because of just how much it messed with your head. It's called Doki Doki Literature Club. It just got released on Switch. And if anyone wants to just feel...
That doesn't sound scary at all. The Literature Club?
Yes, it is the most misleading game in the entire universe. And as you play it, oh man, I won't say anything, I won't spoil anything more, but if you like to be kind of scared and feel uncomfortable, you play that game. But it is very... just read all the disclaimers first, is all I'll say. But yeah, no, I love horror games, for sure.
Okay. Well, let's talk about future plans. So what are your future plans?
Oh man! So professionally here at Game Over, I would love to see us go back to expanding. I'm not sure, how
more
much
travel.
Oh gosh,
it's a double-edged sword.
Expanding with also resources and people.
But right.
But yeah, I'm not sure how much of the I guess company history was discussed in maybe previous episodes, but yeah, we've had to change a lot. We've had to consolidate and downsize, and yeah, there used to be other district managers. I used to have an events team, and just because anyone that has been alive the last 5-6 years knows that retail has changed a lot. And about 5-6 years ago, not for the better. It's been dubbed the retail apocalypse. Starting around 2017, 2018, basically every brick and mortar retail company started hurting very badly. Every...
So is this internet thing really going to catch on, or is it just a fad? Is it a thing? Are people using this device?
Oh my gosh, it's like they just discovered it like in 2016 or 2017. But yeah, no.
But that's been rough. That's been a game changer to us.
Truly, yeah. Us as a company, we've had to make some very tough decisions, and yeah, we had to downsize a lot, that's followed immediately by COVID. Like it was hard, and we together have had to work even harder than we've ever had, longer, done more things, we do like our web store, and that used to be like we had a team of people that did that, and it would be great to kind of get back to that level, and continue growing again, because truly at least with retro video games, like that is something that people don't want to buy exclusively online, I think. Because, whenever you are able to walk into the store and pick the thing up, are able to see if it has the manual, see if the disc looks good.
Try it out.
Yeah.
Try it out in the store.
And then know that, if something's not right, you can just bring it right back. Because, if you've ever bought anything online and had to return it, it's a pain in the it's a pain in the butt.
It feels good when you buy it. It feels bad if it's broken.
Like, yes.
Oh, my God. Now I got to, send it back and deal with that.
I saved $5 from having to buy it in the store. Yay. But truly, to a lot of people now, I think they've realized that $5 that a actual physical store charges more for, goes to the people, goes to the building, goes to the utilities, but that little extra that you might save, you get a guarantee with it. You get a person to talk to if it goes wrong. That little bit of money that you might say buying online, and maybe because of COVID, it has shown a lot of people that it's okay to pay a little bit extra for something that you will know that you've got just the peace of mind to be able to have a good quality thing and bring it back if there's an issue. And so yeah, I would love to see that grow again in that aspect, and truly our company continue to expand again. And then I guess personally, future plans. I'm a really weird nerd. I not only like to sit on my ass and play video games for hours and hours at a time, but I also do Ninja Warrior training. And so I actually had a little setback last year. I tore my ACL and was kind of out for that, and ever since then have been kind of strengthening it again and back to training. Yeah. But I want to go back to competitions and start placing again, because it's all I've always liked to challenge myself in that regard. And so yeah, definitely got some goals and going to be working towards them, because such is the American dream, right? Like you work hard and you just chase your dreams.
You have to have hobbies. So I hear.
Yes.
Hobbies and friends are,
you should.
Hobbies and friends are two things I'm not very good at. But yeah, they're important.
Yes.
They're important. Well, so what about video game wise? Are you looking forward to any particular games coming out? New consoles? I mean, you just got a PS5, right? Just recently.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sat unopened in my living room for about a month, because that was the time where thing was just crazy. Classic Game Fest planning was in full swing. Yeah. Like, I got it before Classic Game Fest. Like, I think it was like the beginning of July. And I was like, I cannot touch this thing, because like I don't have the mental capacity or the time. Yeah. So yeah, I did get a PS5. Sorry to all the people out there that are probably just seething right now. I put in my time though. I've been looking for like 4 or 5 months and following every little notification place, and finally got one. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some things I'm looking forward to. Diablo 4, whenever that happens. They've announced Final Fantasy. Oh gosh,
27.
We're on. No, we're on 16 now. Huh? I had to think about that for a second. It's like 16.
But really, if you count, like, there's like 13-2, and there's 10.
That's exactly what I was going through my head. I was like,
what is the true number of Final Fantasy?
Oh gosh, I couldn't.
It's got to be like 27, 28.
No, more. Oh, way more.
Like 30.
40. Probably. God. Because like 16 is in the main series, but yeah, there were some that had like 10, 2, 13, 13, 1, 2, and 3. There were the 2 online ones.
Counting tactics and all that?
Yeah, like everything in the Final Fantasy universe.
Like every Final Fantasy game.
Because there were the Game Boy ones.
The ones that only came in Japan.
Yes, the ones that never made it over here. The mobile phone ones. Like, I mean...
Numbered sequels, it says 15.
15 now, and they announced 16, so that's in development.
But they're not counting 10-2.
Yeah,
they're just saying the main, like...
Yeah, number of actual Final Fantasy games in the universe, like in the Final Fantasy universe, it's got to be like in the, I don't know, 40s, 50s. No, no.
I'm sure that's highly disputed.
Yes. Yeah. That's not an actual Final Fantasy.
Crystal Chronicles doesn't count.
Oh, Crystal Chronicles, I forgot about that. There's another 5. But yeah, I love the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game. Yeah. I have a Final Fantasy VII tattoo right here. Just trying to keep it PG, so I'm not going to show you my collarbone. But of course, the next part of the Final Fantasy VII remake. So Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. Yeah. Oh gosh. I feel like there was a couple of other things. When you put me on the spot like this, I'm just like... I've been obsessed with this game called Genshin Impact. It's kind of a thing right now. It's my very first gacha game, and it's basically a game that... a gacha game is a game that eventually makes you spend money to feed
That's how they got you.
A slight addiction of trying to get cool characters and what have you. So anyways, Genshin Impact. I really wasn't expecting to get as into it as I have, but I'm super into it, and so I'm just waiting for more content on that. Halo. Whenever they finally crank that one out. So yeah, there's some things on the horizon for sure. But I know that the gaming development industry has definitely been affected by COVID, as many industries have, and yeah, just less development happening, things taking longer, and so we'll see.
It'll be like movies. Like this year's kind of weird.
Yes.
But next year there's going to be like a flood of new gaming content.
Yeah, here's hoping. I guess E3 2022 will hopefully provide us with hopefully it'll be in person again, and we can go because we've done that in the past.
Yeah, I've gone before, but it's been years.
Yeah, and it's we haven't been since it opened to the public because like
that's true. Now it's like a public convention.
Yeah, 3 years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago, they actually opened it to the public. It used to be industry only, and so I'm very curious to know how that was, and especially since like PlayStation kind of like pulled out of it because they have their own thing now. And so yeah, I'm just very curious as to know like how E3 is now, and hopefully, as you just mentioned, like since everything has been just slow down to a crawl, like hopefully we'll have just a wave of new exciting things.
Yeah. Next year is going to be I think awesome in a lot of ways. Yeah. So a lot to look forward to. Well, great. Well, that's really all I can think of to talk about.
Am I famous now?
Yeah.
Yeah? It only took...
So thank you for being on the show.
13 years. You told me you'd make me a star, man. It took me 13 years.
Oh, man. I'm not even a star yet. 16 years.
No, we
don't do it to be famous.
No, we're truly behind the scenes type guys.
Yeah.
Like this is not our comfort zone at all. But I truly do enjoy like talking about Game Over and sharing my experience because I do love it. It is something special that you've created that I've helped you with. And people experience it every single day. So thank you for having me.
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm thankful for having you.
Yeah, anyone tuning in and listening, we appreciate your support. Everyone that comes into the stores and shops and buys our stuff. Everyone that can't come into the stores because they're found out about us through a convention or just stumbled across us, through the website. Anyone that's ordered anything, like we appreciate that. All of that. It means the world to us, and we hope that we continue to have your support many years to come so that we can keep doing it for many years to come.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I've said this before on the show, but it's so rare to have a job that you enjoy and that you're passionate about. And I love that you share my passion for Game Over. But I hope that, all of you out there, find a job that develops your passion. Because whatever it is, if it's gaming or if it's something else, I mean, we all have to work, and a lot of times work is not fun. A lot of times this is not fun. But if you can find something that you're passionate about, it makes all the difference in the world. So thank you again, Tien Phan, for being on the show,
always
being
with
the company, and to many more years of love and stress together.
All right, I'll see you at work.
All right, now get back to work.
All right,
all right. Thank you, and we're going to go now into the boss battles, level 4. All right, and we are back with level 4, the boss battles. So this week, beginning of the month, I always think about rent at the beginning of the month because I have to. For Game Over Video Games, for your business, your home and personal life, I mean, at the beginning of the month is always a time where there's a lot of bills due, right? Because you have your rent or mortgage. A lot of the other bills tend to come the first part of the month. So it's always a time when paying bills is on the front of your mind. So I thought I'd talk about rent briefly. So just in a real basic sense, so everybody pays rent or mortgage or something for where you live, where your business is located. And there's a lot of debate about, how much should your rent be? Like what's a good level of rent? What's a bad level of rent? And so generally speaking, for personal life or business life, you ideally don't want your rent to be over 30%. That tends to be, the consensus on, how much of your income should be spent towards rent. If it's your personal life and you don't have a lot of other expenses, like car payments, student loan payments, student tuition, credit card bills, all that other good stuff, going out to party every night, and, any other vices that take up a lot of money. If your other expenses are pretty low, you can go higher. And if you live in a high-cost city like Austin or Seattle or San Francisco or any of the higher-cost places to live in the U.S., you may be up to 50% of your income going to rent, maybe more. And that, is not great. But if you cut enough other costs, you can make that work. But you still don't want to go over 50, ideally ever, on rent. But for the business world, I always say between 10 to 30 is where you want to stay, 10 to 30%. So essentially, like whatever your business makes in sales per month, only about a third of that or less should be what you pay towards rent. And that way you have enough left over to pay for your bills and utilities and taxes and everything, plus your labor, all of your employees and everything. So the lower the better. I mean, you can't always have the biggest, nicest store in the newest, fanciest shopping center, and you don't have to. You want to be reasonable. Don't set yourself up in a situation where you're locked into a multi-year lease to something you can barely afford. Because if you have any down months, and you will, you're going to have some off months, then it can really put you in a hole or put you out of business. So be careful with that as you sign leases in the business world. You want to try and stay below 30. You should really shoot for 10 to 20 if at all possible. But it's something you have to kind of weigh other expenses to see how that kind of shakes out. But I mean, we've had locations with Game Over Videogames that for whatever reason weren't making quite enough when you get to those percentages, and so the stores were either unprofitable or borderline just like break even. And we've closed them because it's tough to keep a store going when you're just breaking even or even losing a little bit of money every month. Because like I said, the business cycles, they're up and down, and you're going to have good months and bad months. And so on average, you want to try and plan ahead and keep your fixed expenses as low as possible to be able to weather out those storms when the sales aren't what they need to be. So anyway, so for what it's worth there, if you've never done that calculation, it's something interesting just to kind of think about, like how much you make a month. It might just help you decide whether you need a bigger or smaller apartment, whether you need to maybe take on a roommate or a second job. And then for your business, it might make you think long term about, do you really want to stay in that shopping center if it's so expensive that it's eaten up half your monthly revenue just right off the bat going to rent. Because unless you have very few employees, eventually you won't be able to make that work. So be careful with rent. Running a business, rent and labor, all your employees, those are like your two biggest expenses. And so, you've got to have people, at least a minimal amount of people to run the business. So rent is something that you really want to watch closely, because once that's locked in, it's hard to change over time. So keep an eye on those two things. Be smart and frugal with any big overhead cost, any loans or things like that you have for your business. And if you do that, your business will be in good shape. If you let it get above 30%, of your income going to rent, or especially if you get closer to 50%, where half or more of your sales goes straight to rent right off the top, you won't be able to make it. So be careful with those. So that's my warning to you. My boss battle of the week is paying rent, and we've just paid all of our rent, so we're in good shape. So I'm excited about that. So moving on, let's go on to the bonus level with some fan feedback. All right, welcome back. And so now it's the final segment of the show, the bonus level, the fan feedback. This is the most fun of the show, where we get to answer questions and respond to any comments and feedback that you had about feedback that you had in previous shows. And so, yeah, here's what we got this week. A lot of feedback. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you for commenting and sharing and posting. Somebody posted, keep being amazing, and sharing that love and passion for games and gamers. So thank you, and I guess you're welcome. It's always been my pleasure to be in this world of retro gaming, and I started this because I love it. I still love it 16 years later today, and I'll keep doing it as long as I love it. So yeah, I'm glad to be able to share that love and passion with you guys through this show. Really like the store. So some more great feedback on the stores. Thank you. Somebody asked, have we considered selling retro toys? And that's a great idea. But generally I like to keep the stores and, our company overall very, video game focused. So I don't let the, toys or like card games or board games or anime or other things that a lot of like video game stores tend to kind of have in their stores. I don't really want that to take over our stores. You may see a few from time to time. Oh, sorry, Rob. But I really like to keep the focus on gaming, video gaming. So probably no, we're not going to be going into toys anytime soon. Let's see. Donations. Somebody asked about donations and gifts to me or the show, which obviously I don't, want or expect or anything like that. But if you want to send, I don't know, I guess fan mail, like the old school way, like something through the mail, you can mail anything to us, sending it to our North Austin store location, which is where we film these shows. In the back of that store, we have our little studio set up back there. But it's Game Over Videogames, 911 West Anderson Lane, Suite 106, Austin, Texas 78757. And then under Game Over Video Games at the top, if you would just write attention Game Overcast or attention David KAELIN, and then that'll go straight to me, and then I can show it on the show. So yeah, nothing ticking, please. But yeah, if you want to send stuff, I guess that's cool. I certainly, like I said, don't ask for anything, but that's the address if you need to reach us. Otherwise, you can email is the best way to communicate, really. podcast@gameovervideogames.com. You can send a message there, and I see every message that comes in there. Plus, we try and keep track of all the Facebook and YouTube comments and all that too. But occasionally, some of those might slip by me, or I might not see them in time before the show, so I'll have to answer it on the next show. But emails are instant and they go right to me, so that's a great way to get through. Let's see, another question. If I could make an old game into a movie franchise, what would it be? I thought that was a good question, and I actually gave it some thought. One of my favorite games from childhood was Yar's Revenge on Atari. I mentioned that back in the day, and I think that could be a really interesting movie. Obviously, you have to flesh out a lot of the story and background on that, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of games could be turned into a movie with good writers and good cast. You can make anything into a movie. I also thought the Ghouls and Ghosts or Ghosts and Goblins, that would be a cool movie, kind of like a medieval story, like in the time of knights and armor and things like that. But then also in a zombie apocalypse type situation, and so. That could be cool. And, the big climax at the end of the scene could be him, with just his sword left and his boxer shorts trying to, fight and win the battle. So, yeah, that might be really cool. But again, like, as long as you have good writing, that's the biggest problem with a lot of video game movies is in the past, they either haven't had actors that are A-list actors, or even bigger than that, they haven't had great writing behind what the game concept is. And in the early days of video gaming, a lot of the game concepts were pretty basic. Like you up against the alien forces, and it's just you just shoot everything. And so there's not much dialogue, there's not really much backstory or anything, and so all that has to be really fleshed out by a good writer. And if you can do that, then you can create some really amazing stuff. And again, I'll come back to, I mentioned a few weeks ago, the recent Mortal Kombat movie that, obviously it's just a fighting game, but and there are backstories per character, but like they did a really good job, I think, of creating kind of the whole world and the whole mythology around it, and set the stage for, future, sequels and things. And I just thought they did a really good job with the writing on that. And that's what made that movie a success. So anyway, but great question. Yeah, so they're definitely starting to, kind of mine that well of ideas now. And there's an Uncharted movie coming out. There's a lot of like, bigger budget video game movies coming out soon. And so yeah, as long as they get good story, good actors, they're going to be successful. Let's see, the Halloween and scary games. We asked about what were your favorite scary games and things like that last week on the Halloween episode, and we didn't really get a whole lot of feedback on that. But we heard Resident Evil games. We talked about Fatal Frame on I think the YouTube channel with that, and that's mostly I guess like the PS2, Xbox era. But Silent Hill. A lot of the franchises that are kind of mainstream franchises that everybody knows. But I thought we'd have like this whole big list of everybody's favorite movies or favorite games that are Halloween or scary related. But we didn't really get a huge list. So, oh well. Also, let's see, got a comment for Tien, and I'll have to let him know. He's not here today, but I'll let him know on this. Somebody wants to see pictures of his most epic hairstyles, because he talked last week on the show about, his anime-styled influenced, hairstyles that he had, and they were pretty epic. So I'll have to get some pictures from him, and maybe we can flash those on the show next week. Also, somebody mentioned the NES zappers that you need the CRT tube TV to use, which is true. So I'd love to get that on the show sometime. So maybe we can get a big TV up here and show you the zappers, how that works, how you can control the dog with controller plugged into port 2. A lot of people don't know that. So a little pro tip there, that you can control that. Oh, I'm sorry, not the dog, the ducks. The ducks. But anyway, so zappers are a lot of fun for NES. So yeah, I'd love to get those on the show at some point in the future. Also, somebody asked about our Houston store in the Bay Area hosting tournaments, because they don't host tournaments now, but they did in the past. So yes, you are correct. They did used to host tournaments, but when we opened the newer Houston location up on 1960, we moved the tournaments there. So the Houston area tournaments all happen on the northwest side now in the 1960 store. So, but yes, you're correct. Those used to happen at the Bay Area store. So that's it on fan feedback. But thanks again for all the comments and generally like 99% positive stuff. So I love to hear that, and I'm happy to discuss any questions or comments on the show. So keep them coming, and love to hear that feedback. So that's all we have for this week. So thank you for your support. Thanks for watching the show and liking, posting, sharing, subscribing, all that good social media stuff. We love it. We appreciate it. I hope you all have a fantastic week. It's getting cooler outside. You can play video games inside, and so just enjoy the next week. And as we kind of had this calm before the storm of the holidays, right? Because it's about to get a little crazy around Thanksgiving and Christmas. But right now, it's just time to relax, enjoy the fall weather, and that's it for me this week. So see you next week. Game over. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to throw in really quick in the show here, and we're going to talk about this next week on the show. But occasionally we ship something out, and through no fault of our own, bad things happen to it through the shipping process. And we had something like that happen recently. So, Rob, I'm going to move you over a little bit here. But I just want to show you what happened to one of our shipments, unfortunately. So, I don't know if you can see that. Super Nintendo. And this was packed, and it was bubble wrapped, and it was packed very well. I can attest to that. But apparently this is how it got there. Right? Like, really? Shit. But this is not the way you should get a package from Game Over or any place else. This is embarrassing. But apparently, this is what showed up at somebody's house. So, of course, we said, well, we didn't do it. No. But seriously, we exchanged it out for them. But I'm really curious if this one actually still works or not, or if they just beat the crap out of it so badly that it doesn't even work anymore. But this is the worst I've ever seen a package from, and this is USPS. This is priority mail. Yeah, this was a priority for somebody. What's not a priority look like? I don't know, but that doesn't look like a priority of anything to me. So anyway, I know these things, they get old, they get brittle and stuff. I mean, this had 2 layers of bubble wrap around it, extra paper padding, and so clearly it just had the snot beat out of it by the U.S. Post Office. But I'm going to test it out, see if it works, and we're going to try and fix it or maybe replace the shell next week on the show. So that'll be a little project for my feature section next week. So look forward to that. So we're going to do some ASMR here. This is Booger Man on Sega Genesis. We're going to open the game. Feel the case against the microphone. Let's open the case. Listen. Oh, that's nice. Let's open that case. Oh, we have a manual and a poster. Oh, that's good. Let's pull the game out of the cartridge. Oh. So nice, so clean. Let's put it back in there. Oh, perfect.
Your reaction
Booger Man on Sega Genesis. Ooh, delicious.
I don't know what feeling I'm supposed to be.
Oh no! Get rid of that.